Hi, this is Nancy Ralsma with On Point TV and Quilting with Nancy. And sorry we're a little bit late, and sorry you've seen three little short videos, but let me start from the beginning. Hi, thank you very much for watching. And I've gotten a special announcement, and I'm not sure if it's as special to you as it is for me, but it certainly is for me. The other day, when I opened up my YouTube channel, it said, "Congratulations, you have been doing YouTube for 10 years." And honestly, I was blown away. I'm like, there's no way it's been 10 years, but it really has. And in the midst of all that, we've tried to tackle some technical issues. And as you can see, we still have problems. So I want to thank you, the viewer. I really appreciate that you're watching Quilting with Nancy. I love doing this. I love teaching quilting. But I really want to thank my friends that kind of pushed me in this direction. So my friend Gina and Karen and Tom, and then of course Athena. So when we were all working in an office together, and they would be like, "Nancy, you should be doing this, so everybody can see." And they'd taken my class, so they, knew that I kind of knew what I was doing when it comes to quilting. That's it. Just when it comes to quilting, I don't know anything else in the world, but I know about quilting, right? So it was my friend Karen that told me that I needed to wear lipstick, and I was kind of surprised. I thought I was wearing lipstick. No, gloss is not a lipstick, ladies, just letting you know this, all right? Lipstick. It really is amazing what a little bit of lip color can do. And then Gina, she was always my words, is always my words. When I can't figure out how I want to say things, Gina was there, and she was always so encouraging. And then my friend Tom. My Tom was already, he's a professional videographer, and he had already been volunteering and working at WKTV. That is a public access station. Now, here in Grand Rapids, it's located in Wyoming, which is one of the little suburbs of Grand Rapids. But most communities have a public access station, which means the public have access to the station. Well, Tom was already so experienced. So when we first started our couple years doing this YouTube thing, it was on in the studios of WKTV with the big, huge cameras, the lightings, the studio, all that stuff, the big editing equipment. Well, now, seriously, we use webcams and an iPhone. So that's what we're working on now. And that iPhone is the thing that always kind of gets us tipped upside down. Which way is it orientating? So if it had not been for my friends' faith in what I could do and their encouragement, I would never have done this. I never dreamed that I would do YouTube. I didn't even honestly watch YouTube until I started my own channel. So I really want to thank you. 10 years we've been doing this. So the oldest video, if you go on to my videos and look for the oldest one, it is a 2.5-minute video on how to find the perfect scant quarter of an inch. And so I want to introduce you, kind of show you that, and how I everything has grown, and how we've got our own little tool now to help you with that. All right, so I'm going to put it down here so you can see it. Okay, you should be able to see that, Athena, because it's coming in clear. My friend Gina has a laser, and goodness gracious, does that girl love her machines and her automatic cutters and stuff. So she has designed this for me. So I want to show you how it works and give you a little bit of machine information at the same time. So come on into the machine. All right. So on your sewing machine, every sewing machine, there is a series of feed dogs. Now mine is a FAF icon. It has the one big feed dog on the left and on the right, and then a couple of other small ones on the inside. That is what is going to evenly feed your fabric through your machine. Now in this case, I don't know if Athena can see it, but I also have an IDT. There it is. So with a FAF, you get that built-in walking foot. But one of the things that people try to use for their scant quarter-inch seam allowance is a quarter-inch foot. Now I'm going to set this down. If I am using this foot for my quarter-inch, that means my fabric is lined up under here on this little side, which means that that last row of feed dogs is not being used, which means the fabric never feeds through quite properly. So me, like every other quilter 15 years ago, when they came out with a quarter-inch foot, I was like, woohoo, there's a great quarter-inch foot. The problem is my fabric never fed through quite as nicely as I wanted. So I don't like 1/4 inch feet. And let me show you what you can do instead. This is your regular foot, no extra purchase there. And the solution is a lot less than getting a new foot for your machine. So with this, when my presser foots are down, you can see that it's using all of the feed dogs underneath. So that means when I'm doing my piecing, I want all of those active. So that's where this little tool comes in. So with this little tool, I can take Athena, well, actually, we're gonna leave it there. Let's say that you do not have the ability to move your needle to the left or to the right. You've got an older machine. All right, I'm gonna have to reach over here. Okay, there, okay. And with that, if you cannot move your needle, you're going to take and manually roll the needle down until it goes into the little hole that Gina has created. Then you're going to drop your feed dogs. And that tells you that you need to use, where'd my little tapies go? There they are. Then you can use these seam guides. All right. So these seam guides, these are the guidelines for seam from Guidelines for Quilting. I love this company. I don't, I have to buy my own. They're not giving them to me or anything. As much as I use them, you would think maybe they would, but I haven't asked, so I can't expect them to. So the idea here with this ruler is we've created it so that when you take the tape off, you can put this right next to it. Well, if I can't move my needle, I can't put it way up here on the top because it would be over top of that right-hand side feed dog. So I can make it start right here in front of the foot. And so then with that, if I put my fabric right here, I'd take out the ruler, obviously. Right here, I could be working with a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. But do you see the problem? The problem is that you still are not using the right-hand feed dogs. So if you have a machine whose needle cannot move to the right or to the left, you might want to think about upgrading because it's not the big fancy machines that have that. Almost all sewing machines have that ability now. So if you love quilting, you might want to change up a little bit and consider getting a new machine because the other way that this works, so let me manually roll up my needle, is I am going to move my needle to the right. Oops, right here. And so you can see, oops, I'm trying to reach over Athena and not knock her in the head and knock the camera. All right, I'm moving the needle over. You can see if you look real closely, the needle is moving over. Now I'm going to move it to where I think it needs to be. And this is just a test. So then I'm going to lift my presser foot. And again, whoop, manually, there's that little hole. I don't know if you can see that little hole. Can you see it? All right. I'm going to put my needle into that little hole. And it requires a little bit of, bending and seeing. Okay, I'm in the little hole. Now I'm going to put my presser foot down. Now, what I want is there to be the edge of the plastic, the edge of the ruler is lined up with the edge of my foot. So they are directly on top of another. Now, in this case, yep, I did it right. I moved my needle over to where it needs to be. Now I can take this. I'm not going to do it because I want to do a couple of different things with it. Now I can take that and tape that right into that spot. So then I know that from my needle position to my guide is a scant 1/4 inch. Now, you honestly want to check it every once in a while. Don't just trust this is where I move my needle all the time. I always kind of check it and make sure that for this day it's going to work. So, for your normal piecing, this is the way to go. You're using all your feed dogs, so you're going to have your fabric moving in as smoothly as possible. All right. So, that's one use of this new little ruler. The next use of the ruler comes with, let me see if I get this. Whoops, come here, little guy. On this ruler, there is the scant 1/4 inch, right? Now, this little measurement is a 1/2 inch. So if you've been watching my channel over the last couple of years, you'll know that I do an easy sashings quilt as you go technique. And for that technique, you need a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Well, with this, if I take it from the back, again, I'm going to put my needle in the down, lift up my presser foot. and I can push this. So now it's a 1/2 inch from the edge. Again, I take my tape and just put it right there. And then I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You'll also find 1/2 inch seam allowances a lot when you're making bags. All right. So that's number two. Number three for the seam guide measurements is down here. Can we see that? There we go. It's 5/8 of an inch. Why would you need a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance? Well, for some reason that I don't know, and I have been a seamstress for 52 years, you sew clothing with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. And that's so that you can make adjustments, but why not a half? Why not 3/4? I don't know. But McCall's and all of those people that make patterns, they are counting on a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Well, that's easy. Again, take it around the back, put it here, put your foot down. There's your seam guide. Now you have a great 5/8 inch seam allowance for your garment making. And then this particular tool has one more thing. So for this, we're going to go back to the table. All right. When I wrote my last book and my last project was the Lemoyne Star. Now, Lemoyne Stars have a set in seam. That means there is no seam cutting across, making these half square triangles. This is a full square, a full square. This is a diamond. And you need to be able to put in a set in seam. That means the seam is not going all the way across, but yet it's coming across and turning. Well, with a tumbling block, a Lone Star, a Lemoyne Star, you need to be able to figure that out evenly. So with this little ruler, we also have the perfect 1/4 inch corner. So Gina made me a 1/4 of an inch mark here and a 1/4 of an inch mark here. And do you see this little line right there? All right. That's so you can find your 1/4 of an inch corner. And I show you this in the Lemoyne Star video. So here, if I line that line up on the edge and this one on the edge, when I put my pin there, I know that is my turning point. So now I can take out the ruler. I have taken my diamonds and I've opened up the seam, and you always press the seams open with this technique. Fold that back, and right there, that's where I need to put it so that I'll be able to turn my seam allowance. So then I replace this. So you'll find more about that if you watch the Lemoyne Star video. So this little ruler, he's pretty darn cool. And I figured since our first video was on a perfect scant 1/4 inch, that I would teach you more about how we've advanced that. And honestly, we've only had this for a few months. Gina's had her laser for, I don't know, 6, 7 months, and she's been playing. She makes earrings and just all these other fun things, but she's figured out how to do this. And I love it that it's even got my little logo on it. And here are the seam guides. Oh, and you know, the other friend I haven't mentioned is Teresa. Teresa joined a little bit later. She does all of the fixing up of my books and the editing, and she actually created this cute little New York Beauty Quilting with Nancy logo. Thank you, Teresa. And then this in combination with this, the guidelines for quilters, the seam guide. So both of these items are available at Fireside Quilts. So I'll leave more links after I get upstairs and fix up the video and stuff, but those are both available at Fireside Quilts. If you're buying the Lemoyne Star book alone and you're buying it from me, then you could also get the ruler, and then I'll sell you that ruler. I can sell it individually, but it ends up the freight on it is pretty bad. So the best idea is for you to go to firesidequilts.com and look for the seam guides and the Quilting with Nancy ruler. And then you have all of your seams, all the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 5/8 inch, inside 1/4 inches. You got them all covered. All right. So that's how I make my perfect scant 1/4 of an inch nowadays, 10 years later. So again, I really appreciate that you subscribe to the channels and that you watch the videos, and I hope you enjoy them. And when you have questions on the videos, all you got to do is send me an email, quiltingwithnancy@gmail.com, and I will do my very best to figure out what it is that you're having trouble with. And honestly, sometimes those questions turn into the next video because somebody didn't know how to do something, and I feel my goal is to teach you how to do that little something so that quilting can be fun and creative, and that you can enjoy it for the rest of your life. So thank you for watching. Check out these items on Fireside Quilts, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.